It's Friday, which means it's time for another exciting episode of Ask Us Anything on the Goggler podcast. We're going to kick things off today with a question from @Halisa Ogana, who asks, this might be too early, but what are your expectations for the upcoming Criminal series on Prime? Do you have any? So, I'm not sure if you've read any of the Criminal comics, Bahe, the Ed Brubaker
No, I
ones.
haven't.
Okay. So I'm a huge fan of Ed Brubaker's stuff. So I've read all the Criminal comics, the graphic novels. I am very, very excited about this. The casting looks amazing. And yeah, my expectations are pretty high, I have to say. But also because Prime has a pretty good track record, actually, when it comes to these sorts of adaptations Invincible, The Boys. Actually, a lot of their stuff has been very good, lah. Unfortunately, it was only the Russo's original Citadel which was a bit of a letdown, but most of the adaptations have been pretty good.
Can I ask, is Criminal super in any kind of way?
Oh, no, 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 no. It's got nothing to do with superheroes at all.
So
It
that
is
makes me feel better.
gritty crime drama.
So Reacher was fantastic. I've seen the first 3 episodes of Alex Cross. That's fantastic. A lot of just the normal human stuff is good. The Boys was fantastic. Not knowing anything about Criminal, except for the fact that it's not superhero based, I think I'm a little more comfortable with it.
Yeah, it's got Charlie Hunnam, Adria Arjona,
I
Emilia
just
Clarke,
love
Luke
Charlie
Evans,
Hunnam.
Richard Jenkins. Charlie Hunnam, I think, looks the part if you've read the comics. The comics are very much an anthology. Characters kind of repeat, storylines kind of cross over, but they're all very much standalone. So think of them as short stories or short criminal stories. And I'm not sure how the TV show is going to work that in, whether it's
Hmm.
going to be slightly more anthological or whether it's going to be one long story. Either way, I think it'll work because there are a series of reckless graphic novels which are set in the criminal universe, and each one I think could be a 6 to 8 episode season.
Right.
So they could do that as well, which leaves them lots of room to play with. But I'm very excited about it, and it's about time because it's just one of those comics that was begging for an adaptation. Because when you read it, it just feels like it was made for TV. Now,
Hmm.
if Netflix was doing it, I would be a lot more apprehensive because they fucked up more things. But to answer your question, Halisa Organa, my expectations are high because it's Prime Video.
Mugat Aiman One asks, when at home, do you watch all your shows on your high-end TV? Or do you mind watching stuff on smaller mediums like laptops and iPads? I refuse to watch anything on phones. Like, even my football highlights, I refuse to watch it on the phone, either the laptop or on my TV.
I just want to correct Magat Aiman first.
Okay,
You assume we have high end TVs.
that's true. That's correct.
Actually, Magat, our TVs are really fucking old, lah.
Yeah, my main current TV is about 12 years old.
Yeah, my main current TV is about 15 years old. It's still 1080p. I have
Yeah.
a TV in the bedroom that's 4K, but I don't use that quite as much as I should because by the time I get into the bedroom, I'm so tired I want to sleep.
Yeah.
And so I tend to watch a lot of my stuff on a 1080p Sony, which is
Yeah.
very old, which is so old, mind you, that it has Skype built in.
My TV is so old, mine isn't even a smart TV.
God bless regular TVs.
I love non-smart TVs.
I would like someone to release a massive 75, 85 inch TV that is not smart because every TV OS sucks balls.
Sorry, Magat, we're just going to have a little sidebar here. But did you read the thing about LG TVs now having ads built in the OS? We're like, what the fuck?
I will only accept that if the TV is ringgit.
Yeah.
If you
yeah.
are subsidizing my 100-inch TV with ads, sure. But
Yeah.
if I'm already paying 8 grand for a TV and then
Yeah.
you put your shitty OS on it, which is so slow and buggy and ugh, and then you want me to watch ads as well? No, thank you.
My dad's got one of the newer Samsungs, and it's like to even update, you have to sign into their website. You must download a special app, then log in, and then you have to log in with. I'm just like, fuck off. I don't need you. I don't need your operating system.
But to go back to your question, like Bahe, I try my hardest to watch things on a big screen because I can see more. And when we're doing the work that we do, we would like to be able to see everything clearly and what the director or filmmaker intended. That said, there are times when we are given access to screeners where we have to watch it on our laptops because they don't let us mirror it to our TV or stream it to our TV because they've locked down the app for fear of piracy and all of this stuff, right? So
Yeah.
on those occasions, yes, we watch it on laptops or iPads, but even then, not on the phone.
Yeah, never the
Like
phone.
the phone screens are great and the sound is great and all of that stuff, but it's just so small.
No. Yeah, no. I
It's so
refuse to watch.
unsatisfying.
I don't even watch YouTube on my phone. I refuse.
At Travesty asks, the PS5 has somehow lost its luster, unlike previous iterations. What do you think happened? Is it just the end of a cycle? Like it's been around for so long now, and the PS5, more so than previous iterations, took a long time for people to be able to get their hands on it because of production woes. And that was made worse by the pandemic. But it's been around for so long. So maybe people are just kind of bored and waiting for the next big thing. Like the Pro was announced, and I'm like, yeah, my shitty 1080p can't handle whatever the Pro is churning out. So I'm perfectly happy with my PS5. Also, Sony has done so little work in putting out stuff for the PSVR. I think I've used my PSVR twice
Yeah.
because there are zero games for it. What they've done, however, is release an adapter so you can now plug it into your PC because there are more games on the PC.
I was never a big console head. I've always had consoles. I've just, I tend to play the three games I play throughout the year, but I don't know if it's lost its luster or I've lost interest in just gaming culture because I'm now 41.
I still enjoy gaming, but I enjoy it at my own pace.
Same. Yeah, I'm no longer staying up till 4 in the morning to finish that last level of Spider-Man because it's a Saturday.
Correct. If a game is too hard, I'm just like, you know what?
I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, thank you very much.
I'll try it again tomorrow. So we've got two questions here that are around the same theme. Brandon Ho Shengven and Kabir Singh asks about unnecessary sequels. Brandon's question is, which movie sequels do we consider to be unnecessary? And on the same sort of theme, Kabir is asking if there were any sequels that we felt had an interesting premise that could have been more effective as a standalone film as opposed to another installment.
Those are very good questions.
I really like those questions. Ocean's 8 and the female Ghostbusters. I think they were unnecessary things to have happened. Especially because with the Ocean's 8 thing, where it was a gender swap of the characters, which was not fair to the actresses that were very good in that film. They just weren't given fresh material as opposed to just, aping what had been done.
And that's a problem, I guess, we have with all of these conversations that always pop up around, hey, do you want to be a female James Bond? Why?
Yeah.
Create a new character, create a badass female spy. I know
Yeah.
you want to cash in on an existing IP, but I think it actually does a disservice to the actress who has now been saddled with this role.
But also in this current day and age, when somebody hears a female insert IP here, it becomes worse, right? Because you automatically bring out the trolls. What little you may have gained from the original existing IP gets completely lost in the noise online.
Correct. I think you can gender swap characters. If it's written well, it works. But a lot of the time, you find that filmmakers and studios are rushing to do something and cash in on something that the end product ends up being a little dismal. There are plenty of unnecessary sequels. Speed 2, Cruise Control, unnecessary sequel because the first movie was so great. All of the Jaws sequels, all of the Exorcist sequels, like all of it just feels completely unnecessary. That said, I think after watching Folie à Deux, that might be my biggest disappointment of the year. Not that I was expecting greatness, but just because of how far it fell. Like there was a certain amount of cleverness in the first film with what Todd Phillips was doing. And then to make this sequel a self-indulgent mess feels really, really disappointing. If you go back a few years, I was really disappointed with the Matrix sequels, the original 2 and 3, and then the reboot, all of which felt completely unnecessary given what the first movie was. In fact, even if they had just left the first movie alone with that ending, I would have been perfectly happy. It
Mm,
felt like a nicely self contained piece, and then I could use my imagination to fill in the blanks of what happened next. Because God knows when the Wachowskis did it, it turned out to be pseudo philosophical nonsense.
mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, as for the effective original standalone film thing that Kabe Singh was asking, I think the ocean situation could have been that. Like, it didn't have to be Ocean's 8, but if you did a heist caper movie with a group of women and just drew them out as distinct characters, as opposed to having Sandra Bullock play a female version of Danny Ocean or Kate Blanchett play a female version of Rusty, I think it would have worked a lot better. But a lot of the time, the studios are so afraid of original products that they want to tie it into something. There is a long history of movies that were not supposed to be sequels to anything, but studios took a script treatment and went, hey, what if we just superimpose this existing IP onto this script? I'm assuming this question is coming off Folie à Deux. And that for me is always the biggest problem. When a movie does so well and stands alone really, really well, and then a studio goes, hey, it made $1 billion, maybe we do a sequel, but either everyone's heart isn't in it or they've made so much money and gotten so much fame that they've lost sight of what the original was. And we saw this happen with Peter Jackson, right? I swear to God, the Hobbit movies were the ultimate act of self indulgence. It's one of those things where I think they would have been far superior if Guillermo del Toro had made them, just because fresh eyes, he's got a different approach, and maybe it might have just been one movie instead of three. Lah.
There are very few movies that come back with a sequel that feels necessary. And I think the best ones are when you successfully find a new story to tell. On some level, like, I think the Equalizer stuff is a good sequel, but I also think that they could be standalones.
The problem with that is, I think The Equalizer is such an old brand that no one
Yeah.
in this generation has probably seen the original TV series or know what it's about. And so I don't think there were people clamoring for that Equalizer movie or spin-off. It's the
Yeah.
same with The Fall Guy. They
Yeah.
used the name The Fall Guy, but it had very little to do with the actual TV series that it was based on. Not enough people in 2024 remember watching that TV series or have watched that TV series, so I don't think the brand name did anything for the movie.
Yes.
At Rabbit Hop asks, who would you pick if you could vote for the US president? I feel like if you've been following us for any amount of time, the answer is pretty obvious.
Yeah. The answer is not Trump.
The answer is not Trump. The answer is not the giant orange fuckwit.
I think if the Democratic Party put up a celery stock, and both Uma and I hate celery, we probably still vote for the celery.
Probably.
Yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
Yet again, this question is probably coming off Zachary Levy endorsing Trump. And we've got a question about that next. But it's interesting how we often conflate the characters that actors may play on screen with who they are in reality. And I think that's why it's so shocking when such an endorsement comes out, because we watch Chuck and we watch Shazam and we think, oh, look, he must be like these characters, a noble, heroic individual. But then here he is supporting a crazy loon that wants to deport immigrants and genuinely believes that people are eating cats and dogs. Well, actually, I don't know. He may not genuinely believe people are eating cats and dogs, but he sure does like to say it out loud.
On that, Kieran Jacob 15 asks Levi and Trump, do you think it's okay for celebrities to endorse political candidates? Taylor Swift did the same. Personally, I think it's fine. I have no problem with it. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Uma, but our disappointment in Zachary Levy's political leanings is less to do with him supporting a Republican candidate and more about him supporting Donald Trump. generally we feel if you've got two brain cells to rub together, I don't know why you'd want to vote for Trump.
Also, it's important to note that the Republican Party isn't Donald Trump.
It's
It
not.
may
Yes.
look like that at the moment, but I think that kind of stems from fear and the need to cling to power. But actually, you can have genuine policy ideals that stand in line with the Republican Party, and that's okay. That's perfectly fine. It's a difference of opinion.
Yes.
Trump, however, feels like a genuine danger.
The short of it is, yeah, no, we feel it's completely fine for celebrities to endorse political candidates. I'm happy to know that they vote.
Different people react very differently to this, in that how influential is a celebrity in your life?
Mm.
And I think that is the key, right? Because would you go and drink orange juice and solely orange juice if BTS was selling it? Would you agree with Taylor Swift if she tells you to vote a certain way? And I think celebrities who have a tremendous amount of influence and power do have a responsibility. And I think that responsibility includes talking about politics. Apparently, the reason that Taylor Swift held off for so long was because she feared for the safety of fans.
Mm.
And I think that makes sense because we live in an incredibly divisive society, and we've seen people get attacked, physically attacked, for their support of a certain political candidate. And of course, there was almost that terrorist attack, I think, in Amsterdam with the Taylor Swift concert. And so her endorsement was actually very measured because she said, I'm doing this, but I encourage you to go read everything you can about both sides before making a decision.
And I think that's fair. I think anybody who's saying that Taylor Swift should be playing at the democratic events, I think is wrong. I think a celebrity is a person and not a brand. And I think they will do what they feel they want to do for a candidate, right? Not everybody wants to stump for one. Not everybody wants to donate to a party. And I think that's okay. They shouldn't be vilified for it. As much as Zachary Levi is strange for supporting Trump, I'll be honest. If I'm in the mood to watch Shazam, I probably will watch Shazam.
Yeah.
The person changes nothing of the character that they played.
But also, I think one of the most important things about these sorts of endorsements, celebrity endorsements, is that it actually gets young people engaged in politics. And I think
Sure.
that's possibly the most important thing, because you have to be engaged in politics, because politics affects everything. You can't pretend like it doesn't. Politics affects whether we get concerts. Politics affects the movies that come into this country and what we can watch on television. It affects every aspect of your life: what you eat, what you drink, what you see, whether you're allowed to walk on the street in some countries. And so the younger you are, the more active you are, get involved. And if it takes a celebrity endorsement to do so, I'm all for it.
And again, just to sort of double down on it, just because your favorite celebrity, TikToker, influencer, whatever, is supporting a political party doesn't mean you automatically should or would support that party.
Correct.
The fact that your favorite celebrity personality is supporting a party means that you should then read about that party and whether or not you agree with it.
Exactly. So whatever it is, make sure you just do the research, do the work.
Pretty much.
Top
Yeah.
up knowledge.
At Adley Badley asks, any upcoming, hopefully good horror movies?
The only one that I can think of off the top of my head is Smile 2. I don't know if it's any good because Bahir and I haven't seen it, but Smile 1 was interesting.
Yeah.
I thought the concept was cool and it was genuinely fucking creepy.
Yeah.
And so hopefully the sequel does a good job in keeping that up. It looks interesting because they've taken a completely different approach with this pop star thing. And so that looks like a nice and fascinating angle. So Smile 2 is coming out this month, and we're going to have a ticket giveaway, so you can actually win tickets to watch that. That'll start next week. Unfortunately, however, movies like Strange Darling are only showing in Singapore and will likely not come to Malaysia. So there's a bunch of other horror movies that I've seen in the US that aren't coming to Malaysia, and I'm not sure that they will. So Smile 2 is the only thing that we're really looking forward to.
Yeah.
At Tapao12 asks, first question, is Kristen Bell one of the most underrated actresses of this generation? Second question, Forgetting Sarah Marshall is my favorite Kristen Bell movie. What about you guys? So I was thinking about this, and here's the thing. Kristen Bell doesn't do much, but everything she does is a fucking banger. If you look at her filmography, it's really good shit.
Yeah, no, I agree.
She's
Yeah.
very selective in the work that she does, but Veronica Mars, The Good Place, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Now Nobody Wants This, all of it's good. Frozen, she's fucking Anna. It's all good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she is genuinely underrated, especially with The Good Place. Like what you said about The Good Place in our review of Nobody Wants This is absolutely accurate in that the way her character changes between the seasons upon the revelations that happen in the show is fantastic because when you get to the end of that series, that Kristen Bell is very different from the Kristen Bell we see in episode 1. However, the change is so transitional, it's so gradual that you don't actually notice it as it's happening, but then you look back and you go, "Oh wow, it's some really good acting."
She is the perfect definition of somebody who is underrated. You almost don't think about her until she shows up in something and then you realize that she's actually good again.
Yeah.
It's not like she's done any bad things. I think part of the reason that she's so underrated, I think, is because she does a lot of voice work. I think that's kind of why we always forget about her until she shows up again, and then we're all reminded of the fun that we have with her. I don't know if I have a favorite one. I think my favorite one is almost always the last Kristen Bell thing I see.
Veronica Mars is probably still my favorite, but that's because I think I just had the biggest crush on Kristen Bell in Veronica Mars. Like, she was perfect. Like, she was smart, private detective. She was doing cool shit. She was witty. She had banter. I was just like, wow, who is this? So Veronica Mars stands out for me.
Yeah.
Great TV show. Great TV show.
At Kailash Laxman asks, what are some of your favorite and priceless comic runs that you guys are collecting or have collected? And which of them would you love to see being adapted on the big screen? Ooh. A couple of good ones that I'm reading currently. Some of my favorites. Something is Killing the Children is fucking fantastic.
Isn't that Prime?
There were rumors. I from time to time I will look up what is happening with that. Nothing is happening since. So
I really want to see Die made into a
Die
TV
will be
series.
fantastic. So it was also reported that Amazon Prime has got this comic called 8 Billion Genies. Also fantastic comic. My only thing with regards to 8 Billion Genies is that I hope it's just a limited series because that first run was good. I don't know what they're doing with the second run, potential second run. So anyway, so for me, Something is Killing the Children, 8 Billion Genies. I would throw a Green Lantern in there, but I'm getting a TV show anyway, so we'll see what that does.
I like Die. I think it's fantastic. It's got a great little Dungeons and Dragons element. Also, it's 20 issues. And so you have a self contained story that will work really well. There are some parallels and similarities to the way the story plays out to Yellow Jackets because it's
Oh.
set in two different times, right?
Yeah.
We see the past and the future and what happened to these kids before and after. So Die is something I really want to see. Philadelphia is something I would like made into a series.
I mean, early Philadelphia was good.
I was just going to say early Philadelphia, it went off the rails a little bit towards the later issues, but I think it would be a cool concept, especially with like presidential vampires showing up.
Yeah,
That's pretty
that
cool.
was great. There's a lot of really cool Dark Horse stuff that could just be done as like Halloween specials.
Yeah.
A Basket Full of Heads is fantastic. Nice 6-issue run. So just a little short bit thing would be quite cool.
A lot of the priceless comics that I own have already been made into TV shows or movies. I have the original run of Watchmen. I haven't seen the new animated version that was written by J. Michael Straczynski, and I really want to watch that. That sounds pretty cool. Batman Year One, for example, has been not adapted into a feature directly, but elements from it have been used in many, many Batman movies. I know there's a Batman Year One animated thing that Warner Animation did, but that's separate lah because that's almost like a direct lift of the comic.
Right. Yeah.
And actually, you know what? Void Rivals G.I. Joe Transformers, the new comic run is so fucking good and well written. And I really want someone to use that and make it either into a movie or a cartoon series. It may never happen because there are already all of these plans for the Transformers universe. But if you get a chance, read those comics. They are so good. At Iman Bahare asks, which is the more iconic duo? This is a deep cut lah. Booster Gold and Blue Beetle, or the Flash and Green Lantern? I know what Bahar is going to answer.
No, but you have to admit that is the more iconic duo.
It may be the more iconic duo, sure, but Booster Gold and Blue Beetle are a lot of fun lah. The Flash and Green Lantern got into some really depressing storylines.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. But the question here is iconic duo.
Okay, fine.
It's not your preferred duo.
Okay,
it's
fine.
iconic.
We're arguing
There's
semantics.
a definition. Yeah.
Sure, the Flash and Green Lantern.
The Flash and Green Lantern.
I
Thank
really
you
do
very
love
much.
me a Booster Gold though.
I really do not like Booster Gold.
I fucking love Booster Gold.
I think he's such an
insane.
annoying little
He's
shit.
a dick. Yeah.
He's
that's why
such
I
an
like him.
annoying little shit. I find him really annoying to read.
All right. We've come to our last question, and it's a really good one.
I like this question a lot. At Alantan SL asks, I'm curious, what is the difference between a movie director and a TV series director in terms of their role and influence? When a movie is good or bad, the director is often mentioned as a possible reason. But when it comes to TV shows, nobody ever talks about its directors. Why is that? Ooh, this is a great question. It's
It
a
really
favorite
is.
question of mine.
So, the person in charge of a TV show is the creator or the showrunner. The term showrunner didn't exist a long time ago. They were just executive producers. They were given different titles, right? The showrunner is a new kind of invention. And that is the person who is the dawn of the TV show.
A showrunner is not an official production term. They're producers, but a showrunner is an unofficial production term.
And I think, given that the showrunner has all of that power, the general belief is that the showrunner guides the show. So it's entirely his or her vision. On a movie set, and this isn't always true, we think of the director as that person. And movies and TV shows are pretty much the same in the sense that it really takes a village to make one of these things. Sure, we call some directors auteurs because they may write and they may edit and they may make some music for the show as well and all of that stuff. But really, it takes hundreds of people to make a Hollywood movie or a Hollywood TV show happen. Directors on TV shows often come and go. And in the old days, you may have TV shows that are 22, 23 episodes, 24 episodes, and you may have 15 different directors working on them. But all of them are channeling the vision of the showrunner or the show creator. So my read of it is that a director on the TV show doesn't have as much say as the director on a movie set.
Yes, that is accurate and correct.
And I think that is the main reason why we always talk about directors on movie sets, but we kind of talk about writers and maybe showrunners and actors when it comes to TV shows.
Because on a TV show, a director is a hired gun. They come in, they may do one episode, they may do two, but then they move on and do other things. Like Zach Braff regularly is a hired gun on TV shows.
Jonathan Frakes is a
Jonathan
hired
Frakes
gun
is a
on a
hired gun,
lot
yes.
of Star Trek shows.
Yes.
Also, because of his experience with Star Trek, he probably brings something unique to the table.
On a TV show, a director is a hired gun. They come in, they will only do a certain number of episodes. They have no control over character growth. They have no control over character arcs or the story that's being told. They literally come in, are given a script, and probably the only instruction they are given is try and match the last guy.
That said, this is changing a little bit in the era of streaming, where you have some shows where a single director helms all 6 or 8 episodes. And in those situations, and we have some interviews on the Goggler website and the Goggler Instagram account and the Goggler YouTube page with such directors, where they work very, very closely with the showrunners in crafting the look, the feel, and the tone of the show.
Yeah, and invariably those TV directors are also given executive producer credits because they do more than just direct an episode of TV. A director on a film set is, air quotes, God, but in TV, it will be the producer. You don't care who directed an episode of SNL, you just know that Lorne Michaels approved everything. That's just the way the system is. Again, it sort of goes back to what you said, Umar, about at the time of the TV's inception, there was 22, 24 episodes a season. A TV director cannot do 24 episodes a season. They would die.
You say that, Bahe, but back in the day, James Burrows did almost every episode of Cheers. That was 11 seasons, 22 episodes a season. I think he might have done over 200 episodes.
Yeah, Wikipedia says he did 237 episodes of Cheers from 1982 to 1993.
That is insanity.
And you're right, very few directors stick with a show that long. In your conversations, interviews with directors of TV, and even in our readings, what we tend to find is that a producer of a TV show will bring in specialist directors for specialist things. If you were, I don't know, doing a special musical episode, you might bring in a musical director because they would have the experience with dance numbers and even just how to direct people singing, right? How that works between camera angles and all that stuff. So invariably, it's a hired gun job on a TV show.
We hope that answers your question, and we hope that explains why we review things the way we do as well. That brings us to the end of another exciting episode of Ask Us Anything. Keep your questions coming in. You know how to reach out. Goggler MY are all of our social media feeds. You can also email us on podcast@goggler.my or send us a WhatsApp on the Goggler hotline 012-524-5208. Thank you so much for listening. This is the Goggler Podcast.